Hey guys, it's Christopher Lewis, and welcome to Dating Intelligence, the podcast, where we give relationship advice from dating, the marriage, and everything else in between. And always with the goal of helping you to continuously be the best you at all times.
So if you're looking for real, honest information to help you navigate your relationships, we've got you covered.
Yes, we do. We've got you covered. All right, guys, we got a great episode today that we are going to jump into right away. Jamie, hi. Let's just say our quick highs and let's get on with this one. We have got a great guest, and she's actually a returning guest. And we have this, let's get right into it. So we are super excited to have this guest back on our show. This gorgeous beauty is a licensed therapist who really knows her shit, as it was proven by amazing response we had received from the first time she appeared on our show back in January. I mean, I could literally come up with 1,000 excuses to go to therapy just to sit on a session with her. Wow. Please welcome back the incredible Jamie Lynn to the show.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm going to play that 100 million times again. It's my favorite part.
Oh my God. So I'm going to have to just let everyone know. And I don't think I told you this. So we met up last night just to go over a couple of things, not about today and just about some other things for the future. But she was saying, I played that intro, like to let them know. I got to get it.
I was like, I told Chris, I was like, so your intro was like my favorite part. It's like my daily affirmation. I was like, I put that thing on repeat like so many times.
He's so good at that.
But he was like, it was actually like very touching. You know, I was surprised. I could tell that he took time with it, and he was very thoughtful about it. And he had to have done some research on me prior, and I appreciated the time that you took. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, she goes, when I'm feeling a bad mood, I push play. When I do this, I push play.
People walk into my office, that's what they hear.
They're like, oh no, we're here, aren't we? Yes, we are.
Well, after we had her on our show back in January, I've actually called her and paid.
Oh, great.
To have her help me with navigating some of my relationship things. So
I think that's great. I think this is why you're back, because the first one, the first show you did with us got so many great reviews and stuff.
Oh, that's so good.
You're like our resident therapist now. So.
Well, sign me up, guys. I'm ready. I'm here for it. Yes. I'm here for it.
We definitely need you. So that's why you're
Well,
back
I'm happy
today.
I'm happy that it got good feedback. You know, I really love this stuff. I'm super passionate about it, and I'm glad that your viewers found the information helpful, you know, because that's what I want. I want it to be useful information that people can actually apply. You know, I'm not the kind of person that's going to be like, so how do you feel all the time? You know,
what's going on with your life today?
Yeah, she definitely didn't do that for me. She called me on my shit and she was like, listen. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I don't know if I should be happy about this or...
It's my favorite kind of therapist.
And then she would tell me, she'd be like, look, do you want to be better? And I'm like... yeah, I do want to be better. And she's like, then you need to utilize X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, all right. And then she'd call me out. Did you do this? And I'm like, fuck, I did do this, but I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Do you want to be better? And I'm like, yeah. Then you need to fucking do this.
You're like a drill sergeant in boot camp. Look at you. That's great.
God, well, I hope that's not how my clients feel. But
you know what I mean? It seems like you lay it, like you listen, but you also tell them, look, I mean, you give them the hard choices, because if you're here, you're wanting help.
Look, I'm not a bullshitter. Okay. And I'm very direct. I'm extremely compassionate, but there's a balance to it. And look, people are coming to me because, well, most people are coming to me because there's an issue in their life and they're not satisfied with something. If you want results, I can help you with that. I can absolutely lay out, like most times, a way or create a plan, a treatment plan, and I can give you tools that are absolutely going to improve your life, add value, and make it better. But I can't do it for you.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people's experiences in therapy. There are amazing therapists out there. I'm not knocking it, but a lot of people's experiences in therapy versus when they come to me after, they're like, wow, I've never had anything like this before. Because a lot of therapists are extremely compassionate, but they don't give a lot of feedback, and they don't give a lot of psychoeducation or information. They don't, you know, I've seen that people get all this awareness in therapy, right, which is valuable, but it's like, all right, so you know why, now what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
What are you going to do with why?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like a lot of therapists, I'm just hearing what you're saying though, I feel like a lot of therapists, I feel like they coddle you along the way. And that's why I kind of like, it's almost like you're a coach where you're like that hard coach, but in a good way. I'm saying because most people need that, where it might actually deject some people and make them feel like, oh, I can't be with her. She's a little
There's
too harsh.
There's a balance to it. There's a balance to it. There is that compassion. There is that compassion, but I only wallow with people for so long before I'm like, all right, well, we know you're sad and we know this is a problem in your life. What would you like to do about it?
Okay. How long did it take with this one before you jumped down?
Jamie, I mean, I
smiling.
well, I was respecting confidentiality. I wouldn't
Right.
disclose her, reaching out to me or anything like that. She introduced it. So, I can say that, yes, we did work together.
That's great.
I don't want to, I
Yeah,
I want to
nothing
be
to
really,
talk about.
well, look,
Nothing to
I
talk
want to be
about, yeah.
really respectful
And
of what
I'm with you
Jamie's
on that.
comfortable,
Yes.
sharing. So
Right.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, I will say, like, in the beginning, not that I tried to, like, bulldoze you, but she was like, you have a lot of childhood trauma. And I was like, no, I don't. And I was like, it makes me feel uncomfortable when you say childhood trauma.
Okay.
And she goes, okay, then let me word it like this for you. and that's what she did. But
Yeah.
she was like, Jamie, it's the same shit. And I'm like, well, when you say, like, childhood trauma, it makes me feel, because I don't look at my childhood like
Yeah.
it was so traumatic.
Of course.
But she was like quick to, like I said, like, you're not going to fucking bulldoze this and I'm going to call you on your shit. And I feel like for me, that she read the situation.
Nice.
It was a good approach for me and what I needed.
Great.
Yeah, and you're not always going to vibe with everybody.
Of course.
The thing is I have to connect to myself first and foremost. I have to be really true, and I know that I have good intent for anybody that I work with, and I know that I'm genuinely there to help.
And you give them I'm sure you give your all every time. Every
I really
patient
do.
gets all,
I really do.
mhm.
I really do, and I think that people can sense that even if they don't like my approach. I think people can sense that I'm for them.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I connect to who I am, and if it vibes with you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too.
She's like, move along, move along. Well, you vibe with us very well. That's why you're back here. I mean, so and our audience loves you too, by the way. So that's why you're back. All right, guys. So this is going to be a good one. We have a lot to talk about this one, and it's something that Jamie Lynn had presented on her first time she was on the show. But we're going to deep dive into this one today. But we have a topic of choice about this one. It's called sleeping with the enemy. Dating and recognizing the signs of a narcissist before you get too deep into the relationship with that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to discuss today. So I guess what we're going to talk about is how would we say this? Identifying. Yes, thank you.
Well, I think one of the things, because I did a little bit of like a poll on my Instagram or whatever, kind of seeing what people wanted to hear. And one of the most popular things that I got are people want to know how to recognize a narcissist. People want to know how to heal from narcissistic relationships, and people want to know how to tell the difference between a regular guy, an asshole, and a narcissist. So that was the one that I think got the most is how can you tell if a guy is just being a dick versus him being a guy or girl? Guy or girl.
Girls label exes narcissists
I'm
all
telling
the time.
you,
It's so annoying. Like, everyone's a fucking narcissist.
If a
How about
guy-
you look in the mirror?
Look, if a guy, I can't even tell you how many people come to me and they're like, my ex is a narcissist. And I'm like, but he's not though. He's really not. He's an asshole, or he's not that interested in you. See, that's another thing that I think people don't consider is that sometimes behavior is read as narcissistic, but it's really a lack of interest.
Got it.
It's a lack of interest. Sometimes people just aren't that into you, and somebody will be like, oh, well, they don't care. They have a problem with attachment. Well, she was on her phone at dinner all night, so she's selfish, and it's like, well, she just doesn't want to be there.
Like she's bored,
you
in
know?
other words, right? Okay.
Sometimes that's an element that we don't really consider, right? So those things, they influence how we label people. So it's important to have a discussion around those things. But I can go into a little bit of that.
Yeah, let's start with that and just talk about, let's say you're on, let's talk about, I guess, once again, some of the situational signs at the beginning of something, which I think we all know, it's not going to flesh itself out immediately, because it's going to take time to
That's the
pick
key.
these up. Okay.
That really is the key. Look, I think we all are intuitive, spiritual beings, and I think that we can sense things before we can objectively like label it, you know, and it's kind of tapping into that. So that's the number one thing. If you feel off around somebody, you just pay attention to that. It doesn't really matter if they're a narcissist or an asshole or whatever. Just don't be around that person,
Right.
you know. But if you have a sense, look, you got to go with your gut. Really, like, go with your gut. Don't, like, I see so many people excuse, rationalize, and minimize behavior at the beginning of a relationship. And it's usually when I talk to women or I talk to men, I'm like, go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Was there anything that you noticed now that was kind of like, that's your clue.
Right.
That's your sign a lot of times. Okay. If you're rationalizing it away, that's usually a sign that you're dealing with, you need to pay more attention to that behavior and see if it follows a particular pattern. Okay. Just kind of pay attention to it. Okay. Narcissists don't change behavior, and narcissist it's a character trait. Okay. That means it's pervasive. It's across multiple settings. You can't turn on narcissism and turn it off. Okay. Right. You can be an asshole sometimes and not be an asshole, right? Like yes. that is that there's more flexibility.
I'll call that a character flaw.
There you go. I like that. Flaw. I was trying to think.
You know, I know. That? So waiting for it. I go. You know, it just screams character flaw. You know, you can be an asshole a minute and then be a good guy the next minute. But
I love that.
That's my character flaw. I mean, I'm not an asshole, but I
like to be an asshole.
My girlfriend goes. You know what? She goes. You're such a good guy, but there's a little bit enough of a dick in you that just keeps it interesting. I go, thanks, honey.
I think a lot of girls actually kind of like that. Yeah, you know, right. It's the masculinity though that they like. It's not really the assholeism. It's just that's really actually what they're probably attracted to. So with narcissism, okay, there is no empathy, there is no remorse. Mm-hmm. You will see a superficial attachment to things. I took a few notes here too because I was like, I don't want to lose my train of thought and mess this one up.
Yeah,
this is a good topic. We got to stay on track with this one.
So, you know, narcissists are always about power and control. They're always going to have an agenda. So, you know, they might present with some traits that are kind, mm-hmm. But they're not going to do that across every situation and with everybody. A kind person is going to be a kind person, and they might have moments where they're not. A narcissist is always going to be looking to get validation from other people. They're going to be looking for ways to leverage the situation. If they're kind, it's only for their own personal gain. They are only behaving in a way that serves their interests. Mm-hmm. So watch how they behave when they're not in front of an audience. Okay. Are like, they might be kind to, you know, your mom when they're meeting her for the first time, but are they kind to the waiter when it's just you and them at dinner?
Got it.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, like pay attention to those things. So, you know, if there's no like reward or public reward or reason for them to behave kindly, like how are those traits are they being empathetic when it's just you and them and you're upset about something? Are they being caring or are they being dismissive? Okay. Even an asshole is going to have empathy and remorse. Okay. Right. Even an asshole is going to be worried about what's going on. Here's the thing with an asshole as well. Not everybody that is a jerk is a narcissist. Every narcissist is certainly a jerk or an asshole. Okay. So you wanna like sorry, I'm just kind of like reading over some of my notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
An asshole can be like really childish.
Yes.
Okay. They tend to have more of like a childish vibe, and they can be like, I guess, like socially awkward. So
they pout. They get pouty and
stuff.
Right.
You know, there's an emotional immaturity to them, and there is with narcissism as well. But again, narcissist is pervasive. With somebody being a jerk or an asshole, that you're going to see moments where they're being reactive. Okay. They're not going to be reactive across, you know, the board.
But do they pout in a way of like saying, like, let's say, like, for instance, an asshole when they have a little temper tantrum or whatever, and it's just like they're just fed up and they're just spouting off because they're mad, right? Mm-hmm. Does a narcissist do that in that same way? Like, you know, will they have like a little baby fit? You know, does
absolutely.
A narcissist do that?
Narcissism is one big temper tantrum.
Okay.
It is an adult temper tantrum.
Got it.
But again, you're going to see that across multiple settings. They have trouble with interpersonal relationships, whereas somebody that is having moments or periods of, you know, being a jerk mm-hmm. is still going to be able to maintain some close relationships, you know. Also with this, a narcissist is not going to ever correct their behavior, ever. You bring something to their attention, it doesn't matter. It is completely dismissed, okay? You might see a superficial change. That's only because it's part of the abuse cycle and they're just trying to get you back in. You'll see it go back to that same pattern. Whereas somebody that is having moments or periods of time where they're being a jerk and inconsiderate and rude, they're going to be able to correct their behavior. A narcissist cannot correct their behavior. Okay?
Why can they not, though?
Because they don't perceive that there is a problem. You are the problem. They are not the problem. Okay. So if I'm bringing something to their attention, you're the problem. You need to do something better. You should work harder. You should try harder.
But how do they spin it back to you when it's, let's say, for instance, where it's like, oh, honey, I'm really sorry that I said that, blah, blah. It's to that point to where they need to get you back on the page with them. So how does that, when you're yelling at or changing up or gaslighting someone and making it all about, no, you're the crazy one, not me.
Yes.
How do they spin it back in a way to where it's like, oh, now I have you back in my grasp again because...
Well, they do a few things.
Okay.
So this is part of the reconciliation phase of the cycle of abuse. So here's the main point in the cycle. It is saying and doing whatever it takes to get you back in. Okay. And look, you need to evaluate the pattern of behavior. That's the key. It's a pattern of behavior versus a moment. That's the big difference between being able to tell the difference between a jerk and a narcissist. Okay. So the pattern of behavior is going to be idealization, devaluation, discard, hoover. Okay. That is the cycle of abuse. And I can go into that more specifically if you guys want to. But when you're in a reconciliation phase, they're going to do whatever works. So if and that could be kindness, okay? If kindness works, then they're going to be kind. But let's just say they sent you flowers and you ignore it. Well, now they might blast you on social media.
Oh, God.
Okay, now they might be mean. And they might say, well, I'm going to post your nude pics everywhere.
Because they were dejected at that point. Gotcha.
It's just about leveraging whatever they can. Or maybe they use guilt, right? Oh, you're breaking apart our family. Okay?
Right.
Or maybe they're just, you're the only one that knows how to push my buttons, you and your mom.
Wow.
You know?
And when confronted, why do they get angry?
Well, not unsophisticated narcissism. They will use rage, right? They all have rage, but not everybody knows how to have that emotional control. A more sophisticated, more psychopathic narcissist is going to have more control.
Like a calm, like, just like they'll
It's
stand
that,
there and
it's
just
that
look at you
cold,
like they're-
it's that cold, like, you know, you're going to get it.
Are they
Okay.
disconnected?
They're always disconnected. They don't feel anything. They don't feel love. They don't feel care. They feel power and they feel control. That's what they feel.
And how does someone fall into this type of behavior? Is it a learned behavior?
You know, there's a whole nature nurture discussion about this in my field where they feel like this is more psychopath versus sociopath. So not necessarily narcissism. But there is, obviously narcissism within those two scopes. So psychopathology, there's an argument for that being more genetic, whereas sociopathy is more nature nurture, more your environment. That's the argument. That's
right. See, and that's the one that I, from the question you just asked, from what I see, and I want to take from the socio perspective of it, is where, like the product of your environment, like let's say, and I'm going to use a guy. I mean, there's a lot of women like this as well, but it's that guy where he's being adored since a young age, or he's saying that anything that from his, let's say, even from his parents or peers, everything you do is right. You can't do any wrong, or you learn from your friends that they just look up to you. They adore you, basically, right? And that's where it starts from. So anything that you do, you're always like, I always say it's that bully at the school or whatever like that. That's just all the friends are like, oh yeah, he's the good looking like jock, whatever. I'm using movie scenarios, by the way. And and they can do no wrong. Their whole life is almost like this gold platter life. And all of a sudden they feel it, they believe it, and they become that. Whether they step on anyone along the way, right? Or if they push anyone around, they're not doing anything wrong at all. It's the Biff of like fucking like Back to the Future.
Oh my God.
In theory it is. And it is. I mean, I'm just saying like in that lighter form of it, because it's like, who's gonna say no to you? Who's gonna like stop you from being the way you are?
Yeah.
So I mean, am I stepping on a line here? Or is that close enough?
I think, I don't know, I have a unique perspective on it. I think narcissists and empaths are two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
I think that they are both extreme responses to trauma.
Okay.
And I think that they are both ways that you cope with it. So a narcissist is going to completely detach and become self-centered and self-serving, whereas an empath, again, copes by pleasing other people, putting other people's needs above their own, placating behavior.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Do
Being
empaths
really
play
in
the victim?
tune. I don't necessarily think an empath plays the victim card. I can see a narcissist playing the victim card. Yeah. An empath is a giver. An empath is a truth seeker. They're very honest, very caring. They'll die on they'll die on the sword. Like they'll throw themselves on the altar for somebody.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how badly somebody's been mistreated, and it's really easy to manipulate an empath if you don't know what you are.
Right. So in theory, it's almost like saying that type of person in the lightest form of it. I'm not the deepest form. It's just almost like a people pleaser in theory.
Yeah. Well, an empath is very in tune with other people's emotions, and I think that they had to be or develop that as a survival skill set, just like a narcissist.
Right.
And they feel things that, your run-of-the-mill average person isn't that in tune with. A narcissist, or like an empath, is extremely dialed in. You're very, very sensitive to the energies of other people. If you find yourself being exhausted around other people, if you find you can't listen to certain music, if you find yourself crying on a commercial, you're probably an empath.
Oh yeah.
You're probably an empath.
Right.
So you have to really, really protect your space.
Okay.
But those character traits are extremely easy to exploit by just regular people, and especially by narcissists, because all you have to do with an empath is just be upset.
Oh yeah.
Just be a little upset, and you've got that empath in your hand.
Okay. God, they almost like force someone to be a narcissist at that point.
What do you think that there is a healthy amount of narcissism?
Yeah, I do. Look, I think we all have narcissistic traits. Okay, us getting ready in the morning is a narcissistic trait. I had somebody the other day say, "You're a narcissist," because I posted a selfie, and I'm like, whatever. I just don't even have the energy for this right now.
You get a narcissist. You get a narcissist.
They were like, "It's ironic that you are the biggest narcissist of them all," and I'm like, okay.
So funny. So I asked Jamie the other day when I asked her to come back on there. She's like, "Yes, I would love to." I go, "I think I might be a narcissist." Like, not even.
He did
so I
that.
started telling her all my little signs, and I go, but I feel like I call it my dark side, and that was one of our subjects we were going to talk about. One of the topics, and she goes, "Chris, you're not one." She goes, "Because you're too empathetic and you care too much about
agree.
things." And I go,
"You're not
"Okay,
a
thank God."
narcissist.
But she said that a lot of people have narcissistic tendencies, which is fine.
I
Because
probably do.
We all do.
We all do, you guys. The thing is that this term has been so overused, and there is a difference between somebody having narcissistic traits and them being a narcissist.
Yeah.
Like, just because somebody is having a moment of being selfish doesn't mean that it's like a personality, that they're a selfish person.
Right. Even if it's 2 days in a row.
Can you identify or call out a narcissistic trait in Chris and me?
Yeah. Okay. You got ready today and you put on makeup. That's a narcissistic trait.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, it's easy as that.
Yeah. It's
What about
because it's a
him?
narcissistic trait.
I woke up this morning.
Well, you just asked me that question, so you want to know about yourself.
Yeah.
You want to talk about yourself. Narcissistic trait.
Yeah, I love talking about myself.
You know,
I
can
really peg that on anyone.
You really can, guys. And the thing is that, like, look, with in the DSM, if I'm gonna diagnose somebody with NPD, it is different than being an actual narcissist. Okay, NPD, you have the narcissistic traits, and look, they are things like grandiosity, superiority, a lack of empathy, a lack of remorse. These are the bigger things that you need to diagnose somebody with this. Okay,
Yeah.
but they recognize it causes an impairment in their life.
Okay.
A narcissist, there's no problem.
Right. Man.
Doesn't bother me at all. You have the problem. Okay, so again, big distinction.
Yeah.
But
Just
we
you
all
saying
have
that, sorry, I didn't cut you off, but just you saying that, I was like, it would make me tired trying to be that way every day, honestly, you know, because it's like, think about what you just said. It's
I
like
know,
the
because
day in,
you
day out
are
of
a
that.
pleaser and more
Right.
of an empath, so I could see you.
Right. But I also
taking the
flip.
blame.
I also flip though and turn that opposite way where I'm like, you know,
Just to
fuck it,
avoid
it's my time of
conflict.
day, da da da. No, I mean, I'll turn into that thing where I'm like she said, but it's in moments and flashes, but not all the time. And I was
Yeah.
like, that would be exhausting being that way every day for me.
Well, I
For
mean,
me.
Yeah,
I'm saying
for
for you,
you're
because
not a
it's
narcissist.
Right.
exactly, it's not in your nature. For you, that would require effort, and that
Yeah.
was kind of why I was saying, I was like, you're not, because, and I think that's kind of what I was talking to you about. I was like, you'd actually have to try to be.
Yeah. Right.
Because you can't not consider other people. You have moments where, you know, somebody thumbs your salmon and you get a little upset.
Oh my God, hold on. Okay, so when I called her the other day, she's so funny. So I called Jamie the other day, oh my God, can you do our show again? And so I got on the phone with her so we could set up a time, and she's like, hey, let's talk. I'm about to go in the therapy session, but I have a minute. So I call her, she goes, so I go, I'm sorry I couldn't talk to you because I'm at the store right now, and I'm sorry I'm a little late calling. She goes, did someone thumb your salmon? And I go, oh my God, you brought it back full circle, which is great.
Joe used to say that too. He's like, I can never look at salmon the same. I always think of Chris.
Yeah. I go to the store and every time, and I watch them like a hawk now going,
oh my God.
You better not thumb it. I will tee up on you, mister. I don't care what sort of meat I'm
that is a good example of somebody having a moment. Okay, versus like you're not like that all the time.
No.
A narcissist is going to be like that all the time. However, they may be able to control what people see, but at the end of the day, that rage is there.
Right.
Another good distinction, kind of cycling back a little bit, between just a narcissist and just a jerk, is a narcissist has to isolate you. Okay, they're going to isolate you from any kind of support system, friends and family.
Okay.
A jerk may not like certain things about your relationships, but they're not necessarily trying to take you away or completely remove you from any support system. In order for a narcissist to abuse you, isolation is a very, very crucial thing that has to happen.
Okay.
And just to reiterate this too, if you bring something to a jerk's attention, they have the ability to change the behavior.
Right.
And a lot of times they will try to, because there's that empathy and there's that remorse, and they care about maintaining personal relationships, okay? A narcissist does not, okay? They are only caring about the image or the facade that they're presenting to other people. You bring something to a narcissist's attention, it's your problem. It's not theirs. They don't need to change. You need to get in line.
Right.
Okay, so those, again, differences. And you're not always going to see these things right away, but you are going to be able to feel it.
Okay.
If you are hypervigilant around somebody, you're most likely dealing with a narcissist. If you feel like you need to record your actions and you need to write things down, you are most likely dealing with a narcissist.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good one. So, well, let's talk about the signs. I wrote 9 signs, and you can fill this in the blanks here. I go, 9 signs you're dating a narcissist, and I put in how to get out. How to
get out.
Well, they have a charming first impression. Charming first impression, hogging the conversation, feeding off compliments, lacking empathy, no long-term friends, picking on you, gaslighting you, thinking they're always right. So these are things you've been discussing. And
yeah, I mean, those are the big things. No empathy, no remorse. Everything is about validation. So it's all about narcissistic supply.
Okay.
You know, they have no sense of self. Everything that they do, they live and breathe off of your praise. They don't function without it. So they are going to create chaos and disruption in your life because your emotional reaction is their narcissistic supply.
Right.
It is their reward. Whether you're happy or praising them or you're mad at them, it is all narcissistic supply, and it feeds them. It's their food. It's what they live on. You want to punish a narcissist? Act like they don't exist.
Got it. You made me think of something. How does one find their prey? Let's just put it that way. Like for instance, like, do they pick on a certain type of person that fits the mold of that? They're smart enough to seek it out. I know that for a fact.
Not necessarily.
No?
I'll tell you this.
Okay.
This is something that probably people don't consider. And I don't really hear people talk about this, but I hear women come to me all the time, right? And they're in these pattern relationships where they keep dating these jerks or these narcissists. And they're like, what is it about me? You know, do I have a red flag over my head? And I was like, nope. Because they did the same thing to me, and they did the same thing to this person, and they did the same thing to this person. The trouble is that you entertained it.
Okay.
You continued to engage with it. You continued to allow your boundaries to be violated for whatever reason, circumstances, whatever. Like, it's your engagement, your continued engagement with them. Because look, there are narcissists that will there is targeting that occurs within these relationships, right? I could tell you a narcissist is not likely going to be a low bred narcissist is not likely to going to be seeking me out.
Okay.
I'm not going to have a lot of the character traits that they're looking for. A a high value one, a person in a position of power, CEO, 100% would most likely seek me out.
Right.
Yeah. So they're going to target different things. They're looking for certain character traits and residual benefits that they can get from specific victims, but it kind of depends what type of narcissist you are.
Okay.
If you have a narcissist that's kind of like lower cognitive functioning, they're going to be looking for somebody that's insecure, that doesn't feel good about themselves,
Right.
that is more likely to tolerate their bad, overtly abusive behavior. Whereas, let's say I got a CEO of a company and they're narcissistic. They're going to be looking for somebody more sophisticated, somebody that has some accolades that makes them look good.
Okay. But, well, I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying with that, because I was just wondering if sometimes they actually go for, and the reason why I was asking, because I always
want to date someone that's going to make me look
good. Well, I guess what I'm thinking, the fact is, like, I feel like, everyone has, like, I say this thing where everybody has their dating lane, in theory, and I see what, I get what you're getting at, but I always feel like there's something that they can pick up on, that might just be, yeah, I can see that in this person. And it could be an energy. It could be whatever
I'm going to
it is.
actually agree with you on that. I'm going to agree with you on that because that was actually kind of what came to mind when you just said that. I was like, energy, it's their energy.
Right. Because I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's moments in my life where I could literally scan a room and see that girl that's just not talking to everyone, but she's super cute, but she's just a little less, I love a strong, powerful woman, don't get me wrong. But then there's that one, I'm like, yeah, that's the one right there. And I can walk up here and all of a sudden just be in like Flint with that and just entertain it all day.
Well, that's that spiritual component that's very much a part of just human nature.
Okay.
We know things. We know things. And again, this is how you tell if somebody's, just like they can tell if you're like maybe like good prey, you can use that same thing to tell if they're a predator.
Okay, got it.
It's that knowing, and I don't know how on earth to intellectually describe that to people because you can't fact check that,
Right.
But that is a spiritual thing, and that is something when you're tapped into your intuition and you pay attention to that feeling, you're gonna know. We know when people are for us, and we know when people are coming for us, even if they're being pleasant and nice.
Okay.
And so I agree with you. I do think that in what you're explaining, I do think that there is a certain energy that they can pick up on. I do think that there are also the objective things, like I'm saying, that they will kind of deductively go down as well. Of course,
yeah, right. And you can sense that when you start talking with someone, right?
Yeah.
I get that. So, and how much they're into you or how much they're reciprocating. I understand all back and forth. So,
yeah.
Okay.
But that's a really good point.
Okay.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
So
man.
I had a couple questions from like my DMs when I posted. Yeah. And one of them was, how do you break up with a narcissist?
Well, I mean, that's actually, that's an easy question. You just break up with them, right? You end the relationship. The trouble is staying out.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the real question.
So
because
the follow-up to that was, how do you break up and then how to recover?
So healing is a very individualized process, right? And there are specific things that I will have people do that I work with, but I have to kind of know the story directly. There isn't a one-size-fits-all road to healing. Okay. I need to know a person's past. I need to know what they're currently dealing with, and if they're actually dealing with a narcissist, because sometimes people feel like they are and they're not,
right.
Right. I will say you really want to, I have a video on my Instagram on how to break attachment. And I would highly suggest listening to that.
Okay.
There's a lot of really good information on how to break a bond with an actual narcissist or just somebody you don't really want to connect with. And I would start by absolutely blocking
all contact
any
with
kind
them,
of any kind of contact with them.
Okay.
Absolutely, if you can. You can't always because sometimes you have to co-parent. But if you don't have, I would sever all ties, even ties with friends.
Right.
Okay. Everything. You have to be willing to lose it all. That's the collateral damage of dealing with a narcissist. It really is. That's the price that you pay, but you'll get everything back if you do it.
Which is, we know it's not easy because no matter who you are, you're going to have some issues of like missing or whatever, or love, whatever it is. It's just all these feelings and stuff. It's hard. That's not easy.
Well, it's a process.
It's not.
Yeah, it's a huge process. But you got to start with just breaking the ripping off the Band-Aid.
You have to start breaking your attachment. You know, one of the cool things that I like to have people do too is, narcissists do this thing where they create ever presence. Okay, so everywhere you go, you see them. Okay.
Right.
Assholes. And so what I like to do is I was like, I'm going to rewrite this. Say you go to a restaurant, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I really love this restaurant, but it was like your restaurant, or like, this is the park that you guys would always go down, and this is where we walked the dogs.
Or even a
and
song sometimes,
a song.
right?
Well, yes, those things are actually very intentionally done.
Okay.
A lot of times. Or you cologne. Very intentional.
Wait, what do you mean?
Smells. They like to trigger your senses.
Narcissists do?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yes. It creates, it's a thing called ever presence. So and they do it even after death.
Wow.
What do you
kidding.
mean?
That's deep.
Even after a narcissist passes away, they intuitively or intentionally create reminders for their victims of their power and control over them. And they do that through their senses, through music, through places, through friends.
Right.
It's
But if you're disconnected from them, how do they?
because you're not disconnected from them. You have to sever the emotional attachment, which is kind of what I'm trying. If you are not connected emotionally, these things won't affect you, right? But you have to undo the attachment. And one of the ways that watch my video on that, where I go into a lot
name the
more
video.
detail.
Yeah,
I
where
have
is
your
the video?
I have your Instagram
yeah.
pulled up here. Is it a
Okay.
reel?
Yeah, which one is it? Because I'm looking at it as well.
I would go. Can you go into the IG video section? Oh wait,
They don't have it
combined
anymore.
them. They combined them.
go down. Keep going down. Okay, right. It's where I'm wearing the blue shirt. That one. Yep.
And explain this again.
So this is on how to break attachment. Hi, that's me.
Hi, you.
Let me
Hi.
get the audio for this.
Oh.
And I really
This is great.
I really have some very practical things. I wanted to pop on here really quick and do just an IG video. This is going to be new for me, my first kind of time doing this on my own. But for those of you that don't know, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. My name is Jamie Lynn. And one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of people struggle with right now is attachment. And so I thought I'd pop on here and give you guys some kind of tips and tools that could be helpful in healing from like unhealthy attachments or relationships that have ended. So so let's jump right in.
Is there
I think the first
is there
thing.
a specific part of the video? Because it's 10 minutes. So
Well, I mean, we can just say that people just need
Yeah,
this will be
check
check
out this post.
Check it out.
Yeah,
for sure, but-
check it out.
Yeah.
I have a few things on there that I think it's good practical information, whether you're dealing with a narcissist or you just don't want to be connected to somebody. They don't have to be a bad person. You just might say like, yeah, I just don't want to be emotionally triggered. And these things are very practical tools on
Okay.
how to help people break that emotional bond. Now, there is additional work to do when it comes to healing, right? Because I think mind, body, soul, like this is a spiritual thing. This is an attachment, right? And so, yeah, I think, check these things out.
Okay.
Give me your feedback. Let me
Right.
know if it was helpful or not.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the
I'm
funny part
excited
about
to
like
watch
narcissism,
it.
it's like, and you were talking about even in death with the smells and senses and all these things, it happens in the lightest form of even when you're in a good relationship, you had the breakup and all of a sudden you just the memories and just
Yes.
the, oh my God, it smells like such and such. Or so these are just even the lighter
I had to work
forms of
through
it.
a lot of that with her,
Wow.
which was like out of the norm for me.
Okay.
Especially since it wasn't. Yeah. So she helped me
and
work
that was
through a
a
lot
major
of those.
attachment, basically.
Yeah, if I can comment on it.
Yes, please.
With Jamie's a very, very strong, woman, very independent. And so she has a negative meaning attached to any kind of vulnerability,
Right.
right? There's a very strong need to protect herself. So childhood trauma, right? She's got a negative meaning to that. It's like, no. I'm strong. I'm overcoming. I've done, and we had to change the meaning that she's associating with some of these things because she had been really hurt. She'd been really wounded, and there had been some things that had happened in her life that were incredibly painful that she did survive, which is great. But great job surviving. How are we doing healing?
Yeah, and you know me, like I'm not really a crier.
No,
I think I
you're
like
not.
cried
Yeah.
half my session.
Wow.
And she was like,
Right, but you're
This
very,
is
gotta let it
strong,
out.
very strong. Like I know, like you're always like, and you pride yourself on that. But you're also, I like when I see the softness in you as well, which is kind of sweet, because
And that's
there's a
her
nice
true
side to you.
state.
Yeah,
That's her
definitely.
true state. And
Yeah.
we talked about that, it was very clear that she was holding it in a specific place in her body,
Okay.
a lot of the trauma. So we worked through some of that. But that was a big part of, I think, what we talked about was tapping into your feminine energy, because you are extremely feminine, but because she had such a strong need to protect herself, her dominant was her masculine energy, and that was attracting a certain type of man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then even like my breath work, she helped me a lot with like my breathing and just refocusing that energy in a healthier way, which was big for me.
Right.
Yeah. And when you do that, it can be a very emotional experience, you know, because again, it opens you up, and I could feel that energy from her, and I could feel the pain.
Right.
You know, you could feel how much pain she was in, and it was tough. You know, I even now, like talking about it, it's like, oh, it's there. You know, it's
I know,
so
it makes me feel just like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, she was so open and receptive to feedback. And look, all I can do is kind of share the information that I have. It's up to you what you want to do with it. And she really did embrace it, you know, full force. And she had to do some really tough things. I didn't make it easy on her.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah, but that's the hard, perfect side. That's a good compliment. It's good balance.
It was really good for me.
I feel like, I mean, since we've been doing this as well, I feel like you've opened up a lot. You know, like, I mean, there is this side of you that's always super soft, which I adore and love about you, know. But I also know that you're just like, and when you're like that, it's like no one's going to get in your way, because you have a plan. You know where you want to be in your life. You know what you want out of your life, but there's like this plan. And so it's nice to see that even with stuff like this now, where you do open up a lot more and you share more, and I appreciate that all the time.
Yeah, I think just learning, and I hate to even use the word balance.
Yeah.
But it's what I feel like I needed at that time.
Right. Well, there we go. Yeah. I like all this stuff. It's such a, I mean, I'm giggling, but it's like such a fine line. And you asked the question on healing. That was one of the questions that you had said, one of your fans had said, or from when you asked one of your listeners on what amount of time to heal. And then here's the other one. Do you think they actually love you? Something we were going to talk about.
I'll touch on that one first, because healing, again, is a very individualized process. Here, if you're dealing with,
that's a great question.
Okay. Here's the truth. No, they don't. No, they don't. They do not love you. You are an object to them. Okay.
Right.
If you're dealing with an actual narcissist, okay, again, a lot of people are in relationships that don't work, or somebody is behaving badly, or they're not interested in you, and they are miscategorizing them as narcissists. But an actual narcissist doesn't feel anything for you. You are only in their life to serve a purpose, and that is to validate their existence.
Right.
Okay, you're an object. If you're not useful for them, then you're forgotten about. They can literally forget about you and never think. They could be married to you for 30 years. You can have a family with them, all these connections, all these ties, and then they see the shiny thing over here, and it's like you never existed.
Right.
And it really is. They really are not thinking about you. It is only when they need you that you hold any value, and the value is just how it serves them. It's not something that they see in you. You know, a lot of women will misinterpret control for care. Okay?
Yeah.
They will be like, oh, well, how do you know? I had this conversation with one of my clients the other day, and I was like, well, how do you know he loves you? She's like, well, when I don't answer my phone, he gets really upset.
Wow.
And and he gets really jealous. That was the other thing that she said. And I was like, well, are there times in your life where have you ever been, jealous of a coworker? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, are you in love with your coworker? And she's like, no. And I was like, there you go.
Okay.
Okay. You can have a jealousy trait and not have a connection to love. And so that was just one small example that I was giving her on how there really isn't a connection between jealousy and love. But because these people are usually coming from trauma, right? So that's why healing is so important, that they're misinterpreting the control for care.
Right.
They don't know what healthy care is. So they're like, oh, that somebody is upset, that means they care about me. That is incorrect. Okay.
Right.
That upset is, you're ruffling their feathers, you're disrupting their life, you're not falling in line, they're losing power and control. It's not because they love you. They don't ever love you guys,
right.
Ever.
Do they feel?
I think they feel powerful, and I think they like being in control. I think that's what they feel. I don't think that they feel real love.
Right.
I don't think that they feel compassion towards other people. I think that they feel rage, and that's about it.
Okay. But they have to have a sense of feeling of, pleasure, excitement, when they are stringing along and saying dance, puppet dance this whole time, they have to feel some sense like, oh, look what I can do. That's
Yeah,
some
that's
sense
power though.
Well,
Okay,
it's like
all right.
self-serving.
Yeah.
Okay, right. No, I understand that, but I guess,
I guess power. I guess what you're power is pleasing
Okay,
to them,
okay,
right?
all right, yeah.
It is a reward. It's hard for me to use the same terminology that I would with in a regular relationship because it's nothing like it.
Right.
So I try to stay away from terms like love or enjoyment or peace or pleasure because they're not really feeling that, but I don't have anything else to compare it to. It's a reward. I guess that's the closest thing
Right.
I can say.
You had said something about one of your patients or client where
Patients.
they said, yeah, when you asked them, do you feel like he loves you? And she said, and all she could say was just he. It was never like what she felt. Like I feel it was like he did this, or he hates when I'm for he does this, and that's signs of control already automatically. It's coming out of their mouths. So
Absolutely.
when they can't find a way to put it on themselves, like I need or I want, it's like, well, they, they're this or they're that.
Oh,
Like,
I did that a lot
yeah.
in my therapy with her,
Okay.
and she called me out on it.
Yeah.
Because I made it a lot about him, and she
Right.
was like, "Stop doing
Yeah,
that."
because that you're giving
she was
them
like,
power,
I'm gonna
right?
tell you right now, stop that.
Okay, which means you've given
And
up power.
I made excuses.
Right.
He did this, but, and she's like, no, and she would like reel it back in.
Right. Okay, that's another control thing.
It is, yeah.
Which I wouldn't have identified in that sense if she wasn't there to help me like work through those specific things. Like
Okay.
I didn't see it in that way.
Okay. Yeah.
So I learned that from you.
What's go ahead.
If that makes
No,
sense.
go
I was
ahead,
going to
yeah.
say when I actually help people when they have issues with dating or marriage, and
Yeah.
so one of the things that I always stop, like how you told her, I always say, look, I'm asking you specifically, not what they're doing. What are you doing? What do you want? Well, I think that we want, or they want, or he wants, or she wants. I go, no, what do you want out of this? And they go, oh, wow. No one's ever asked me that before. It's like, no one's
Yeah.
ever asked you that. I just asked you. I'm sure you get that a lot, but you're so busy on always saying, well, they, he, she, they said, it's like you lose yourself.
A lot of people do lose themselves, but again, it's how they have to survive these toxic relationships. If they consider themselves, it would never work.
Right.
They have to placate the narcissist behavior in order to survive and maintain it. If they didn't, well, they would be discarded.
Right. Wow. Well, if I was a vampire.
Do you
I
feel
might
like
be
you've
a
ever?
narcissist.
Do you think
If
you've
only if I was a vampire.
have you ever dated a narcissist?
Me?
Yeah.
No, but I have a lot
Why
of...
is that word so hard for me to say?
I have a lot of friends. I have and by the way, guys out there
I'm like,
listening to
do I
this
have a
episode,
list?
by the way, we have Jamie Lynn, the therapist, on our show, and thank you for being here. But there are a lot, this goes both ways. I know a lot of women out there that are freaking control, and they
Yeah.
will throw people away by the wayside, not think twice about it, and come back for more. And when you're not even expecting, they will try to win you back years later just because they know they can. And so it's just a thing, whether it be in the friend zone, whether it be dating, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You don't have to be with this person dating. These are your friends, by the way. If you ever have a friend out there that's, you feel like, oh, you're just all lollygagging in love with this person, but then yet deep down that they can push you aside with not even a drop of a hat, that's probably a narcissist.
Yeah.
You
You're
guys,
I
right.
dropped the mic.
That's what my ex said. He was like, I feel like you can dispose of me at any time and wouldn't care.
Who said
And I'm
that? Who
like,
said that?
One of my exes.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with that.
Well,
I think that was a great answer.
like,
well, we know you're not a narcissist, so he's just being a baby,
if
honestly.
we broke up, you wouldn't care. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know how to
Right.
respond to that.
Right.
So,
How do you stay with someone and then start seeing that this is going on, but then you're starting to get your power back, but it's not really time to get out of it? I'm not saying this right, but like, you're like, you know what, fuck this guy. Like I'm gonna start like pushing back in a weird way, but you're really not understanding that you should just be getting out of the relationship. What does a narcissist do? They dial it up a little bit more, or does this?
A narcissist doesn't care,
Okay.
guys. They just don't give a
Okay.
fuck.
They just see winning
If
all the
they
time.
don't, yeah, like, again, the only reason somebody on the receiving end is fighting back is because they're trying to regain the power and they're
Right.
trying to regain the control. Just get out.
Okay.
Get out. Don't worry about, like, you got to let your ego die when you're in relationships like this, because you are going to have to lose usually a lot.
Okay. Okay.
To get out. But that's the collateral damage. And believe me, guys, it's worth it. Everything that you lose, you will gain. You have to be willing to take that risk, though, because nothing can justify or warrants being in a relationship with a narcissist. Nothing. And a lot of women will, and men, I know I'm using guy girl all the time, but you know, it goes both ways. So let me just say that. It's just easier for me to say it this way. A lot of these relationships, when there is that fighting back, it's because, you know, I'll just use guy girl, like let's say a woman is feeling victimized and she wants to assert herself or regain power and control. You're never going to teach a narcissist a lesson. Right. You're not going to teach, like, that's going to be fun for them. Right. I mean, you don't understand. You're just giving them supply. Like, you're just rewarding that behavior even more.
It's like watching a kid have a tantrum in front of a parent going, you're just like, you can have your tantrum.
And look, this can come from empaths, but you know what? That empath is presenting a narcissistic trait. So this is how these things kind of marry. Okay. That's a narcissistic trait that empath is having. So, and again, like it makes sense. They're not like bad or wrong for doing that, but it's like, it's not healthy. Just get out. Like, you don't need to, you really want to hurt a narcissist. You really want to get them back. Never talk to them again and ignore them. Act like they never existed.
Right.
Like,
I got all
that'll
excited.
get them. Yeah.
When she said it, I kind
like
of
you
lit
thought
up.
there was some magic answer.
No, I mean, and like I do have clients that you know, reach out to me and I will respond to their messages to their narcissist and create something for them. And that is you know, that I know will like tick the buttons. That's only when they have to have a relationship with them, though. Like there's kids involved, you know. Otherwise, I would just say get out.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
But that's true. There are some cases where you have to continue to co-parent with that person, and it's draining.
It is,
really
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to just cut off like all communication.
Right.
And like I can't even deal with this. Mm-hmm. And then I think over time you get to a space of indifference where it's like whatever.
Well, it's what you do at the time. You know, that's kind of, you know, that kind of attests to healing, which was one of your other questions. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you heal? And I hear this thing come up all the time. Well, time. Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with time. So. Right. Nothing to do with time. Mm-hmm. It's what you do with the time. Okay. Because I know a lot of people that are mad about something that happened 30 years ago.
Oh, that's
and they're
true.
still just as mad about it. Okay. And I know something, you know, and I think that you can heal from trauma. I don't think you need years to heal from trauma. I really don't. I think that you can create healing really quickly. Our bodies naturally know how to heal. If I have a cut, my body knows what to do. I don't have to tell my body, hey, send the white blood cells and the hemoglobin and the no. I don't have to do that, you know? So I think it's just kind of tapping into what we intuitively know how to do. And the stuff doesn't take years. Okay.
I want to talk about another point of this, just from the outside point of view on this thing. Let's say someone's with a narcissist or whatever, and how does one ask, and I know that a narcissist will isolate their person they're with. Yeah. I don't want to say a victim or whatever, just their person that they're with. How does that person get out there and just say, hey, I need help from a friend or something like that? Like, what signs should people on the outside looking into a relationship like this, how should they voice it to that person that might be in something like this? Let's talk about the outer version of this.
Well,
now.
I think...
Because I'm sure all of us have friends that know they see it and they probably try to say something.
The number one thing is you don't want to add to the isolation of the victim, okay? It is really hard for friends and family to watch somebody being victimized by somebody else. However, what happens is they tend to remove themselves from the situation because they're so frustrated by the person going back and being abused and coming to them with the stories. Usually the victim is actually saying what is going on, and the family is what tends to pull back.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, think of it. Have you ever had a friend that has been in a back and forth relationship and you're just so tired of hearing it that you're like, I can't deal with it. That's what happens in a lot of these relationships, okay? The victim is also being isolated, but that family isolating themselves also occurs because it's so hard for them to be around it and watch it.
Okay.
What I would encourage a friend, a family member, anybody that feels they have a loved one that is being psychologically abused, manipulated by a narcissist is to just be honest.
Right.
With love and compassion. You have to lead with love. You cannot lead with ultimatums. Okay, that doesn't work. You lead with concern, and I try to give observable behavior. This is where I try to go in factually. Okay. And say, hey, I've seen this, this, and this. And when you know about narcissism, you can kind of point out the pattern. And you can say, well, what do you think about this? Like I had a woman that I was working with just earlier today, and she went back to her narcissist, right? And she thinks things are going to be different this time. Things have changed. And I was able to say, okay, well, how many times have you done this before? How many times has he said this before? And we're able to actually write these things down. And so she can objectively look at it and see the pattern. I write down the narcissistic pattern, and I'm able to see her behavior, his behavior line up with that. And I was like, well, what do you think about that? It's like, and you're able to kind of see it outside of yourself.
Okay.
And then, so those things can help.
Okay.
It can help to objectively look at it, but you need to know enough about this to give people facts.
Okay. But what if someone also from the flip side, still on the same line, if that person is just more of an introvert and really quiet and doesn't even express them, like I've been in this, I'm feeling victimized or da-da, and we're all like, okay, I'm sick of listening, I can't listen anymore. What if someone's just not saying anything because they're just so like beaten down at this point in theory, they don't speak, they're already an introvert, like I'm saying as it is. How do you let that person know because that person's never going to say anything and you can see it, but they're just kind of demure and just kind of like, they don't share.
Well, what you're really asking is, how do I get them to change their behavior? How do I get them to care?
How do you get them out?
That's the real question.
Yeah.
That's a separate question.
Okay, all right.
Because the question that you initially presented to me, I answered the first time.
Yes,
I said, do it with love and compassion.
Okay.
This is why you're an empath. Okay. Your concern is
I'm loading up my water in my backpack, Jamie. I'm getting out of there.
But
George, start the engine. Let's go.
See, that's what so many people face is that's what you're really asking is, how do I help them? How do I save them? And here's the thing. We can support people, we can't save them.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
It's got to be something that comes from inside.
And I hear you, because that's what I always do. I say, look, I can teach you, I can show you how to do this, but ultimately you have to make the decisions. I can't help you from there. I can tell you what you're looking for. I'm not going to tell you what you want me to tell you, but I will tell you what you want me. I'm going to tell you what
Those people just aren't ready.
Yeah, and that's true, and they're not. But like I said, and like I think you last night, I said, look, if you're going to come with me with your problem, I'm going to tell you the truth, and this is how I'm going to stand behind it. And so I can show you what you need to do. The rest is on you. I don't want you to come back to me like 3 days later and with the same shitty problem, because I'm not going to, once again, now I'm running away again. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to listen anymore. I'll listen.
So do you see how that dynamic,
yes, I
see how that dynamic
I see my spin, Jamie. I see what just happened there. Why do you get me out of this?
I can't.
Sydney, I went down my own path. Look at me. I got my conclusion. George, fuck you. For not supporting me back there, man. Where's the other guy in this room?
I don't know, man.
I know. I just felt it. I felt it. I am wrong.
This is why she's so good.
I'm not wrong. I just answered my own. I spun it around and came back to myself. Yeah.
No, I love that, because that's a great teaching moment, right? That was an example of what I was just saying. So, I mean, this stuff, that was really good that just happened, because that was a natural example of how it plays out in real life.
Right. Yeah. Man, I saw that thing coming too. I just couldn't stop.
I just stared and watched you in your seat, like, because how many times did that happen to me with her? So I'm like, I see where this is going.
I stopped looking at her because I saw her eyes being like, and I'm like, fuck. Yeah, I saw that.
It's good though.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. You know what, people? You're on your own. So. I'm just kidding. I will always be there to help out as much as I can.
Okay. So you talk a lot about like intuition, which I love, because I'm a huge believer in, like, we know, and that gut feeling, that intuition. And I think a lot of people in general like ignore it or make excuses. I had a question on my DM, and I was like, oh, that's a good question. They said, I know, but how do I know that she feels the same way, or she knows? And I'm like he was like for sure and like all in, but his reservation was he doesn't know if she isn't.
Okay, well then it's not reciprocal.
Right.
Okay, then that's your answer.
Because
here's the thing is,
look,
I'm assuming that this is a romantic relationship that he's interested in. If he knows and that's not being reciprocated, then no,
Right.
that's not it. That's not
Okay.
your person. It's really not, because your person's going to pick you.
Yeah.
Okay. What he's wanting it to happen so bad, and that's fine. But if she's not on board, one, it might not be the right time.
Right.
Okay. So maybe sometimes we meet people and it's not the right time. So that could happen.
Okay. So that energy is there, but there's just, you know.
Like it's really hard because I don't know what the story is. If I knew the story, I'd be able to hone in on
Gotcha.
it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know the story. I don't know what she's thinking or feeling. You know. And look, sometimes we misread the situation, guys. A lot of guys like.
Go ahead, because I'm with you on it. Whatever you're going to
man.
say.
He's like, I'm all in if she's all in. And I'm like, you should be all in on your own,
Right.
whether
Absolutely.
she's all in or not.
I agree with
But I
you.
wanna hear
So
what you're about
then
to
you're
say, though.
operating out of a place of fear.
Right.
So you can't let down your guard until you know that she's all in. Like,
But
you're already doomed.
There's another half of that, though, that could also be like doing that. And you were going to say something because
Well, I think that we can misread things
Right.
sometimes. I
That's-
think that guys can misread a girl's interest quite often.
let's just put it this way, guys. We think with our lower half. I'm sorry, that's what it is. They're like, they plow all in and they don't take a moment to really think about what the other person wants. That's what I think
Look,
you were
I
gonna
know
say.
that as a woman, just
Yeah.
from my own personal experience, I know that if I smile at somebody, that person's going to think I'm interested in
Right.
them. So all the time I get, why don't you smile? Why don't you smile? Because that person's going to think I want to bang them.
Right,
And look,
right.
that is what a lot of women experience. They really do. Not everybody, but it is quite common. If I'm at a gas station, right, and I'm kind in passing, I know somebody's going to say something to me every single time. It's relentless. There are no breaks. And so a lot of women, can just be kind in nature or be pleasant, and those things are misread and misinterpreted by a lot of guys. They are perceiving interest when somebody's just being nice. Now, I don't know if that's the case for this guy.
Right, but that's the other half I was thinking about. There's what you said is very true, but then there's this flip side. That's where I thought you were going with that, because
Yeah.
they're misinterpreting it automatically already from the get-go. And so if he's having, and by the way, most guys who interpret it wrong wouldn't even have that fear. So I think his is probably legitimate, though, because if he's thinking that I feel this way, but I'm not sure if she feels this way, which, poor guy, he's just not fully, fully knows his senses.
Right.
If I'm saying that right. But guys who just go in full plow and just think, oh yeah, without even feeling that sort of thing, they're just wrong sometimes.
Well, here's what I would tell your follower. Ask.
Yeah.
Just ask.
I like that.
Just ask. Like, ask where she's at. Share your feelings. Like, what do you have to lose, honestly, besides getting clarity and insight? And even if it's a no, you are still moving in the direction that you're supposed to be moving down. Because if it's a no, then that's not your person.
Yeah.
Right.
I
It's not
even
your
say if
person.
someone gives me an I don't know is an answer for me, and I'm moving on.
Right. Okay.
Like, I feel like sometimes, like, you should know. And if you don't know,
point.
that's your answer.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So
I feel like a lot of people use that as
sometimes
an
for
excuse,
me,
though,
yeah,
instead of
and I don't know
saying the
doesn't
real
work.
answer. But I like that you just use it as a red flag no matter what. Not a red flag, just it's
Yeah,
a definitive
just
moment.
Yes.
of
And
saying,
I don't
like,
know
yeah.
is
Either
for
you're
me,
trying not
it's
to hurt my
knowing.
feelings, or you just don't really want to, whatever it is, I don't know, it's just a cop-out.
I mean, sometimes people really, like, I always relate it back to me, because sometimes I really truly don't know.
But that's okay, but at least you should have some sense
But I
of...
feel like sometimes I don't know is not a good response for me. Like,
But if you back it up and say, look, I don't know because this is where I'm at with you now at this moment, not just an I don't know and leave it at that.
so I'm going to make it about me right now.
Okay.
So I don't know what I want, like, moving forward, like, in the scenario I'm at.
Okay.
But for me, I just feel like I need more time.
Yeah, and that's okay. But,
But-
she should just express that, though, right?
She told me, she said, then you would know.
Okay.
Well, look, what I said was,
She's like, oh, no, you don't.
George, turn on the spotlight. I think we got Jamie Lynn. We're stumping her.
right.
What I said is.
Well, what I wanted to point out and what I really picked up on was, is there a connection? That's how I wanted her to evaluate it, because that's what's going to give her clarity and insight. That is something that's instant. That is something that you know. Now, timing could be off, all these things. And connection is something that is spiritual. It's a familiarity. It's a peace. It's a gravitation, a pulling, something that is otherworldly. Again, very spiritual that we can't explain, but there's a peace about it. Okay. And it's beyond attraction. And that is something that you just know.
Right.
And it doesn't really require a lot of effort, and it's really intense, right? And so I was telling her to evaluate it from that perspective, rather than, trying to figure it out intellectually.
Got it. Yeah. What does your heart say? What does your heart say?
We're moving on.
All right. Jamie, show me those notes later, okay? We don't need her.
You mean my doodling?
She's going to give me permission. I'm family. She'll give me permission. Don't worry about her. I'll jump in there. Show me the notes. No, I'm kidding.
God.
No, but that's true.
Yeah.
No, but I get that.
I think I have a little more work to do. I'll be calling you on Friday. Shit, today's Friday.
Sounds good.
I'm calling you on Wednesday.
Okay.
I understand about the timing though, and I can understand that, but I get what you're saying about the I don't know, because I feel like it does put someone's not really certain, but sometimes, I guess you might have to read how certain it is. Like, I don't back down from something if someone's, you know what, Chris, it's rare, but they go, I'm not sure if but I'll be sure if I'm feeling it intuitively, I will present it and say, this is how I'm feeling. I know you're probably not there yet, but I'm just letting you know how I feel.
I love that
I'm
approach.
okay with that.
I love
Right.
that approach.
Right.
The caveat to this is that sometimes with connection is so fucking scary. All right.
Right.
It's so scary that we can run from it. But I still think there's like I know,
Okay.
I know. And so it's getting kind of connected to that. And look,
I know I get scared, though.
yeah,
Okay.
that's a separate issue though. Right. And so evaluate
That's why I
it
have
from
my own work to do.
evaluate it from the connection piece. That'll lead and guide you. And then, for me personally, I pray about everything. That again, I have to connect to something higher than myself.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I just have a little more healing to do.
That's okay.
So
Right.
it's clearly like my issue, which I'll own.
Yeah,
Right.
like that. Your trauma. Look, if you have, when women come to me and they want, relationships, and they're looking for a partner, I always work on healing with them. Always. Because look, if they met that perfect guy, I said, if you had that perfect guy, I think I said this with you.
You're
Yeah.
going to self-sabotage.
I said, not only that, I said, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't trust it.
Okay.
You wouldn't trust it because you're so broken.
Right.
You've been so wounded. So you have to really heal that part, and you have to believe that it even exists. You have to believe in that goodness. You have to believe that it's for you and that you're worthy of it.
Right.
You have to work on that piece of it. Otherwise, it can land in your lap and you will throw that shit away.
Yeah, no matter what comes at
Yeah.
you, then if that's the case. It's funny, like I tell a lot of my girlfriends that I say, oh my God, like I can sense when they're slightly broken in theory.
Yeah.
And you just know they're just such a great soul and a great person, but
Yeah.
they're just not ready for anyone. And
Yeah.
it's just sad to me sometimes.
It's
I'm like,
tough.
It is tough because you can just see that they're going to be happy even if it's the right guy.
I know.
And nothing worse than the right person, guy or girl, going, you know what, you're amazing, but I can just see you're just not ready yet.
It sucks,
That's
right?
when we
Right, but I feel
need
like-
to pass on her number because I'm serious. They're like, I have witnessed that too. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, if you just did a little bit of work, I just always feel like, gosh, we can get you there.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. All right, everyone out there in dating intelligence land, you're learning a lot today on narcissism all the way to
Yeah.
your own
Good
self
stuff.
insecurities
Always
or whatever.
learning from you.
Yeah, and it all joins hands together because sometimes the people at the weakest amount is where they get pounced upon and not even know. All of a sudden, you're caught up in this whirlwind. You don't even know it half the time, right?
Yeah, I think it can really blindside you, and sometimes you're in too deep before you recognize really what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if that's the case, then
I really wanted to dive into the open relationship with you, but I know we're like almost out of time.
what part of the open relationship?
Well,
Oh,
just
the
an
topic
open,
open.
yeah,
Okay,
the
gotcha.
whole like.
Yeah.
I know that's like totally like off topic, but yeah,
Okay. I have to come back.
we have to have
for
you
that
back
one.
again.
I'm
Yeah.
here for it, guys. Sign me up.
but
Well, I'm just saying. I think thank you. By the way, this is a long and drawn out thing, and I find it fascinating because it's just like I'm just like I just want to know, and it's like it's super exciting.
I mean, I could talk about this stuff
Yeah.
for days,
It's
guys.
very
I love
exciting
it
because
yeah.
because so many paths of just this crosses over from just even the best relationships.
Yes,
that
it
it's all
does.
crossover. But we do
Yeah.
have a tendency to throw out that word a little too much.
We do.
for
Look, I
people.
think narcissism is definitely a word that is overused. Absolutely. And I think we really need to educate ourselves on what it is. And I don't expect everybody to be an expert on it, but not everybody that breaks your heart is a narcissist.
Right.
And look, at the end of the day, my message is this. It doesn't really matter if they are or aren't. It doesn't really matter if they're a narcissist or an asshole. Not everybody's going to be for you. Even a great guy. Even a great guy that has all the accolades and everything that you want. If that ain't your person, let him go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
But you're perceiving in your mind that's what you want, and so it's hard to let go.
It's hard to let go. And a lot of people pick for the wrong reasons
Yeah.
anyway. But ultimately, none of those things are going to make you happy.
Right.
You just think that they are. Even somebody that looks great, if that is not your person, you're not going to be happy with them.
Yeah. It's as simple as someone always saying, like, and we've all had people say this to all of us, where it's like, I'm just not happy in this relationship. I'm like, I mean, and I can use it just as a job. I hate my job. Then leave.
Yeah.
Your job now is a narcissist. Get the fuck out of there. Think about it. In theory, it really is. It's like, if one thing I do not do is, it's like, if I don't like something, I'm done. I'm out. Like, I will not stray. I will not straggle. I will pack my bag and I will leave everything there and get the hell out. So
I did that.
probably because I probably did something wrong, but
No,
But other
I
than
mean,
that,
I didn't do anything wrong, and I left everything. I was like, peace out.
Yeah, but that's the strong side of you, though. Like, I don't think you linger that much, though.
No.
Yeah.
When I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah, that's
Well,
one
that's
strong
that
side about her.
survival. That's, and look, I tell people this all the time. Like, a lot of women and men can beat themselves up for having, that detachment or that strong part of them. And look, that, the hypervigilance, those kinds of things, and how they can be deserving in their current relationships. They're not bad things. They helped get you through some really, really tough times. It works really great if there's a bear in the woods coming after you. It sucks if you're just trying to walk down the sidewalk.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
have to learn how to turn those things off
Okay.
when we don't need to.
Okay. Wow, that's really good. Jamie, thank you for that. All right, we're going to jump to our question today. I'm going to give you the hardest one that someone's been
God.
Well, because we have you here. We can do this one.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to.
You don't want to ask me what my favorite color is?
Well, I could, but then that's like saying you'd get bored on that one. Really
I
easy.
probably would.
I need to
Give
challenge
me the
you.
hard
Yeah,
shit.
all right, here we go. Here we go. Okay, it's a big one.
Twizzlers
So,
or red vines?
that was it. No kidding. Okay, my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 4 years now. We don't live together and are not engaged. Now, I do have an 11-year-old that adores him and vice versa. How do I approach the conversation of the next step, i.e. getting engaged, without pushing him away or being too aggressive? I don't want to give an ultimatum, but also have hopes of trying for another child. Am I being unreasonable? And should I just let time take its course or stand my ground and walk away if he can't make that commitment? It's been 4 years, almost 4 years.
Okay. Why are you afraid?
Right.
Okay. Why are you, no,
Okay.
hear me out.
Okay.
Why are you afraid? Okay. Because that to me says a lot. Okay. You shouldn't be afraid to have this conversation. The fact that you've waited 4 years says that there's fear. There's a fear and probably a knowing that she is connected to, that if she pushes him, he's out. That's probably, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Sorry.
I am too, look.
I already
Look at
know
that.
that that's the thing.
knows. Wow.
Look, I already know that that's the thing. And this is what God does. I
Okay.
swear to God,
Okay.
this is what it is. Okay. And you got it too.
got
So, okay. So you're already connected. And look, we're all connected. That's why those things happen. So what you really need to ask yourself, darling, is this. You already know that if you push him, he could leave. That's information for you. Okay. What I would encourage you to do is have the conversation. And you have nothing to lose in sharing what you want. And if he cannot step up and give you that, then the two of you are not aligned. Okay. And if you want to have another baby, that's wonderful. But you want to have that baby with somebody that wants to have that baby with you. And here's another thing that's going on with her: scarcity and fear. Okay. A woman has a clock, right? That ticks and ticks and ticks, but you do not pick from that place. You have to pick from the abundance that God has for you. You have to pick that you are in divine timing and perfect order, and make decisions from that point. And that is all I can really say about that right now,
Right.
without having talked to her directly.
Right. Wow.
Okay.
That's great. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, so amazing. And just to kind of
I'm not going
dumb it
after
down
that.
for some of our viewers, I'm going to dumb it down. You've been together for almost 4 years. And if you feel like you cannot communicate a simple fact on, hey, a conversation about getting married or being engaged, I mean, that should happen with most people after, 8 months. But this is almost 4 years and you still can't communicate that fact because you're afraid that even if you've had the conversation, he's not ready yet, you're allowing him to lead this whole thing without you ever having a say. And that already is a lose-lose situation for you. So, I mean, my take on this is that you're probably gonna have to walk away. That's all I got to say. I wouldn't even entertain any more talk because even if you present it, it's going to be a no. Sorry.
And you know what, Chris? Like, I'm sure she has already had this discussion.
Okay. And I'm sure
Guaranteed.
and I know.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
years, I'm seeing someone for 2 months and I've already had the marriage conversation.
Right. Exactly.
Like, so we know like what we want, like going into something.
Right.
And then especially like 4 years, like Jamie said, they've had to have had the conversation. So I say, out, he's not your person.
Okay. But what if, now I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in this for both you guys. What if he comes back, because we don't know, we can't read into this.
Right.
Like, he's like, you know what, honey, and I'm not going to, and I know the answer, but I'm just going to put it out there for other people. It's like, you know what, honey, I'm just not where I want to be yet with me and da-da-da. And yes, I do want to marry you. And it's sincere, but maybe you can see some fear in him. He's a little afraid. And if she can pick that up, what do you do with that then?
Well, I don't make decisions for my life based on somebody else.
Okay.
So if I want to
yeah.
get married and somebody doesn't want to get married, I make a decision on what's going to align with what my needs, wants, and desires are.
Okay.
So I don't wait for anybody.
Okay.
You're either on board or you're not.
Right. Yep. I hear you. All right. Yeah, girlfriend. I'm gonna have to call you girlfriend on this one. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And when you said something about anger or something, I was gonna ask anger, committing to leaving or committing to talking. That's what I was gonna jump in and say at that one point. We said, hold on a minute. So that's why.
Oh, I'm so sorry for interrupting.
No.
you
You
on
didn't interrupt
that.
me. You answered it great, but I was just like, because I know you said you have to make a choice, and the choice is either leave or to actually have the conversation.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to know. But either way, I think that you know your answer.
Yeah,
Bottom
it's
line,
always
you know
worth
the
the
answer.
conversation,
Yeah.
but
And you know
I
where that
mean,
conversation's going to go, hands down. So,
I think she's connected to it. I know she's connected to it, and that's why she's avoiding it.
okay, that's hard. It's not easy,
Yeah.
especially when you invest all that time. You know,
It
is
is,
really
but-
a lot of time though.
4
Well,
years.
look, like
and-
the only thing worse than that is 4 years and 1 day. You know.
right. Well, before this episode comes out, it's going to be 4 years and about 5 weeks.
Make sure you follow up with us
I
and
know.
let us know how
Please
this
follow
goes.
up. And I'm sorry. It's like
You know what? Sometimes we do have these conversations though, and the script flips. So I've addressed certain things, and then all of a sudden they backtrack, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't feel like that anymore." So I think that is a red flag in its own. Like
Okay.
we
Well,
know.
that is somebody, possibly something to evaluate, is somebody saying and doing whatever it takes to get you back in the relationship, right?
Got it.
So again, what you want to look for is the pattern.
Okay.
Look
Okay.
for a pattern.
Yeah. Okay. Not dress pattern either. And just look for the pattern. Sorry. Okay. All right. Jamie Lynn, I always love making you laugh. Small girl. All right. Please let us know where they can find you. And but once again, talk about the attached video on your Instagram, correct?
Yes, yeah. So my Instagram is Jamie_Lynn, LYNN, and 4 underscores because, you know, longest underscore ever.
Underscores suck because you never know how many underscores are there. It always
Yeah.
lines up like one
I
line.
have 4.
Okay.
So you can find me on my Instagram. Also, you can email me or DM me,
Okay.
and I'll take requests that way. You can find me on Psychology Today, and book an appointment with me. I am accepting clients right now. It is all cash pay.
Right.
So yeah, I should probably say that.
All right. And Jamie, what about you?
Jamie_Villamore, and big shout out to Body Armor. Thank you guys so much for stocking us with all our H2O.
Nice. All right. I'm going to plug my friend Laura Powers' book, Rock Your Podcast, today over here. Laura Michelle Powers, look her up. Also, I want to give a shout out. Please follow us at Anything Dating Intelligence on social media and our YouTube page. Please subscribe and watch the show. This is a good one, guys. All right. George, thanks back there behind the helm today.
Thank you,
and-
George.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate it.
And thanks for
you.
not backing me up. So.
Oh, yeah. I got you next time, Chris.
Thanks, man. I know you do. You always got my back. All right, guys, that's another episode. And thanks once again. And all right, we're out.